Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Hugh Freeze, the Auburn Tigers, on an absolute heater on the high school recruiting trail. This time going to the 2025 class and flipping Alabama commit four-star defensive lineman Antonio Coleman. Worth noting right off the bat here, Antonio Coleman playing his high school football at Saraland. That is also the same high school program that Ryan Williams plays for, the five-star wide receiver that they're also trying to flip from Alabama. You got Antonio Coleman now. Now the eyes are set on Ryan Williams. You take a look at Auburn and Hugh Freeze and what they're doing on the recruiting trail. These classes are just looking vastly different from the classes you saw under Brian Harsin. And a lot of the conversation around that 2024 class has to do with the wide receivers, right? Potentially Ryan Williams, but Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, Bryce Kane. You look at Auburn and what they're doing on the defensive line in that 2024 class, and then you take a sneak peek to what they're building in 2025. I mean, it's no secret. Winning SEC football games, you got to win the line of scrimmage. And not only is Auburn bringing in a ton of skill talent, this is one of the better defensive lines that you're going to see in the SEC for the next couple of years with all the talent that they brought in. You take a look at that 2024 class, guys like Amaris Williams, Jamonta Waller, Malik Blockett, and TJ Lindsey. And then you look at this 2025 class loaded with defensive line talent. Hugh Freeze, not only just recruiting the offensive skill. This is a team that is going to win along the line of scrimmage, especially on that defensive line. If you're an Auburn fan and you're seeing what's going on the recruiting trail, the future is so bright for this program. Want to get into Antonio Coleman, talk a little bit about what he brings to this Auburn defense, and then just take a look at what this Auburn defense is going to look like over the next couple of years, because again, just absolutely loaded with talent. Before we get into it, just want to say thank you to you guys and a shout out to the Auburn fans. This has been a program that has been just a blast to follow on the recruiting trail. You guys have shown a ton of support. Y'all know I love talking recruiting, love talking these prospects that we're going to see at the next level. You guys giving me the support and the platform to do so is something I'm extremely grateful for. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Antonio Coleman. And the first thing that I have in my notes after buzzing through the film, first step off the line of scrimmage is absolutely jaw-dropping. For a guy that's 6'2", 285 pounds, he carries that 285 extremely well, which is rare to see juniors in high school carry weight and carry good weight. Antonio Coleman certainly does. Extremely powerful in the lower body, uses his hands really well. But again, what you really can't teach is the explosiveness that he shows off the line of scrimmage. Now, you take it to the film, you're going to see interior offensive linemen just struggle to deal with the speed and the get-off that Antonio Coleman has, and that's kind of rare at the high school ranks. Normally, when you're looking at these premier defensive line prospects, they're just powerful, right? They're just bigger, stronger than the guys trying to block them. Antonio Coleman is that, don't get me wrong, but what he shows off the line of scrimmage is kind of silly. I mean, these interior offensive linemen can't even get hands on him. He's in the backfield. He's a phenomenal athlete in terms of making plays in the backfield. This is just not penetration. He's a guy that when he's in the backfield, he's making tackles for loss. He's making sacks. Phenomenal against the run. I am kind of just in awe of how good he is off the line of scrimmage. A guy that probably gets up to 300 pounds, but man, does he penetrate at just a different kind of level. And he uses his hands extremely well too. Again, this is a young player. We're watching his junior year film, and he uses his hands to shed blocks, get into the backfield, and make plays. I mean, this guy is a tackle for loss machine. And you start looking at all the talent on that defensive line. It's going to be a group that you see him here. Okay, so this is the first rep that you see where he doesn't necessarily just win off the line of scrimmage. He's going to take on a double team, shed the blocks, and go make a play. Like, that's the type of stuff that you want to see from your defensive linemen. And let's just take a sneak peek to that 2025 class, where it's a top 3 class in the country. We'll zoom in here so y'all can see. You got Malik Autry. You got Antonio Coleman. We got to get the advertisement out of the way. You scroll down, Jakaleb Falk, Jordan Crawford. 4 of the 5 top commits in this Auburn class in 2025 is on the defensive line. Hugh Freeze knows what it takes to win football games at the SEC level, and you see the blueprint, right? The Georgia Bulldogs. What was a main part of their success that they've had the last couple of years? It's on the defensive line, just being more physically gifted up front than any other team. And we talk about it all the time. The defensive line is where it starts for the defense, right? You stop the run on first and second down. You get a ton of pass rushers on third down, and you're able to get after the passer. I mean, it is a simple recipe when you look at what Georgia did and how they have all that success. You look at Auburn, and you take a sneak peek at that 2024 class, guys like Amaris Williams, Jamonta Waller, Malik Blockton, TJ Lindsey, and then you look at what Auburn's doing in this 2025 class where you have your top commits right now, all guys that are top 150 nationally coming on Auburn to play that defensive line position. Malik Autry, Antonio Coleman, Jacaleb Falk, obviously the younger brother of Keldrick, and Jordan Crawford. If you're Auburn, like, yes, Hugh Freeze, we all know when he took this job, this offense was going to turn around. Hugh Freeze, one of the best in the business at running an offense, at calling an offense, at scheming an offense, at developing quarterbacks. And now with all the talent you have, Perry Thompson, Cam Coleman, Walker White, that offense is going to be great. But what you're most excited, what I'm most excited for, I should say, and I'm damn excited about this offense and what you're going to have from Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson and all those talented at wide receivers. But I'm looking at this defensive line and saying, what is this going to look like, not only in 2024, but in 2025 and in 2026 when these guys are going into their sophomore, junior year and the development kind of takes place. They are building the trenches. And you know what it takes to win football games at the SEC level. It's building the trenches. And before we hop off, just want to say, like, this is a very, very important commitment in terms of, I mean, what's the last target on Auburn's board in this 2024 class? It's the 5-star Ryan Williams, who reclassifies, is still a top 10 player nationally. That kind of just tells you the difference maker that Ryan Williams is. Antonio Coleman's his teammate. So now you're getting Antonio Coleman, no doubt, putting some work in with Ryan Williams, trying to flip him from Alabama. And it feels great whenever you're able to flip a commitment from Alabama. Obviously, Antonio Coleman flipping his commitment, Perry Thompson flipping his commitment. If you're Auburn, you're watching this and saying Hugh Freeze has got this thing going in the right direction. Auburn fans have a ton to be excited about. I think this certainly helps the recruitment of Ryan Williams, but don't get it twisted. I mean, this Antonio Coleman get is massive. He's a difference maker on that defensive line, and this Auburn defensive line in the future is going to be one of the better units, not only in the SEC, but in the country. Big fan of what Auburn's doing on the recruiting trail. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. It's been just a blast covering Hugh Freeze, covering this Auburn Tigers team and what they're doing in the portal. Think they're going to get busy, or on the trail. Think they're going to get busy in the transfer portal. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.